What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Let's try this out again, shall we?
Why? Haven't I studied hard enough?
There we go. The middle pages contain knowledge of a heretical sorcery. Most likely, most are crude forgeries. Alright, blow this up for me real quick, you that.
My success was inevitable.
Rise to the top, or you're left in the dust.
I have learned much
Should be
in
one
my
more, I
exile.
thought, wasn't there?
Dare you?
You found the gold Xeno idol. Yay!
You will perish for this
Oh,
affront.
that's wild. The scrolls of the broken seals of Ordo Xenos describe the process of studying Eldari test subjects. Good luck, Cassia. Gregor, wait, what? Gregor? The weighty tome is bound in the skin of a human face, laced with cord woven from tendons. A sinister crimson symbol dominates the cover, but it's difficult for you to make out. The details elude your scrutiny, and the strokes twist and shift, furthering the confusion of the tome. Touching the book makes your hands tingle, and you feel a spell of dizziness coming on. The symbols on the pages rearrange themselves, vowing vicious torment, and the stretched face on the cover starts to resemble your own. Oh no, we failed. 100 hands writhe under your skin, seeking to force their way through. Some in and some out. Your eyeballs push at their lids and sizzle, ready to pop. You open your mouth to scream, instead spewing out a torrent of dark blood. The agony ends only when you lose consciousness. Well, that can't be good. 1 hour passed. When you awake, you still tremble at the memory of the suffering you have endured. No, unacceptable. Unacceptable. I don't think I'm going to be able to pass the thing, but I will burn the heretical book instead. I mean, I could pass it. You know, we'll see what happens if we pass it. We'll be right back. That took so many tries. I kid you not, I've been here for 5 minutes trying this, reloading over and over again to get a 40% chance. 100 hands writhe into your skin, seeking to force their way through. Some in, some out. Your eyeballs push lids. You grit your teeth and remind yourself this is all an illusion conjured by the dark sorcery. Turn a few pages. With every page, the pain in your body intensifies, and an ominous voice echoes in your head, whispering an unknown dialect. Dang it! You know what? You know what?
It's a temporary setback.
We're just, we're burning the bitch. We're burning the bitch. I mean, okay, whatever. I'll give it a few more minutes. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna burn it. I'm just gonna burn it. We'll get it on our next playthrough. Burn it. The fiery tongues reluctantly lap away at the taint of the heresy of the book, their warm colors fading as they engulf the tome. The blood, the symbol on the cover melts, and you hear a shriek so loud the pain it pierces your eardrums. The final flash reveals the heretical sigil in full, but a moment later you cannot recall what it looked like. Get out of here.
Is there money to be made?
That was like a headache and a half, dude. That's part of Unfair's roughness, is like the huge negative you get on skill checks.
I beg your pardon?
Don't mind me just failing more skill checks. The table is strewn with expertly forged seals. The Adeptus Ministratum forms, Astra Militarum entry passes, and even an inquisitorial rosette. Oh lord.
You see these corpses? These fine lads and lasses were paid for my greed. And for your lives, we both will accept the Emperor's punishment, but you can be certain.
No.
Always
no,
keep your
no,
eye on the price.
No. See ya. Not today, Satan.
Cast your eye there.
The reserves of Prometheum are fueling the local generators of almost run.
What is that?
A Voxcaster. It's alive. Alive. What? Why are you screaming? That thing, it just latched onto Lufa's face and she went mad. Throne be damned. Cut it off. Cut it off. Hey guys, what's wrong? We're missing the Drakari crates, lads. But I was told to look after the sounds of several bursts of bolter fire. Run! What the? Oh, Throne, take me. And I will level up soon, guys. Don't worry. I'm just kind of, not at the moment. How do I get through this? Okay, so I need you.
I'm restless.
Okay, I don't need you anymore. I need you.
State your intention.
My God.
A trivial task. My success was inevitable.
Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted.
Sins
I
hidden
can't do-
in the heart turn all to decay.
How do I... Because I imagine I can't just, like... Ow.
Carry the
Oh, okay.
Emperor's
I
will
guess
as
I
your
just can.
torch. This task should have been accomplished easily.
I don't know how you activated the Xenos thing there.
What
Unless
is
I
it?
activated the Xenos thing. I don't know. There's too many traps for me to know what's going on anymore.
I have learned much in my exile. I have failed my kin.
Disarm the damn trap you lit.
A trivial
Let us not
task.
dawdle.
Everybody, what's in here? Not a sniper. Solid projectile. Don't really care about it. Drakari equipment. Drakari equipment. Neat. Not useful.
I
to
always
me.
have a backup plan.
The containers are stuffed to the brim with dry rations of corpse starch. Such quantity of provisions could feed a small detachment for months.
Keep your wits about you.
We managed to make out a Medusae limp tentacles through the murky glass. The parasite has died regardless of what was being kept here for. This is kind of like where we stopped, right? We were going to come this way, but then we decided to blow up the thing.
Is there
Yeah,
money to be
so-
made?
Well, athletics my way over it.
Was that supposed to be a challenge?
Empty canisters, dry ration wrappers, and petrified feces. Someone was cooped up here.
Rise
a
to the
long time.
top, or get left in the dust.
Subdued rumbling comes from under the cover of the ancient cogitator, as if the machine spirit resents being awakened. After a few simple directions from the control panel, the vid screen flashes to life and starts blinking, waiting for your input. Examine the log. The mechanism lazily grinds its gears but grants you access to the requested information. Records tagged Big Puh. Day 21, third month of the cycle. Now that's just what I call good fortune. We hit the jackpot. This Xenos peddler, Astrixus, sure did show up in time. The competitors have been popping up like fleas on a half-dead rat. Murd Key has already brought a bunch of rare and exotic shit, and I've never been paid this much for a single order before. Life is good thanks to him, her. This is going to get even better. Day 6 of the 9th month of the cycle. It's time to end this. The thrones are coming in faster than I can spend them, but I'm starting to lose count of the people who died. Yesterday I walked past a dozen of my people and couldn't recognize 4. The customers started to ask why there's so much blood on the delivery crates. Damned if I believe that crooked-ass Xenos rat again. His deliveries are killing my guys, and there haven't even been any shootouts. Next time he comes here, he won't be leaving this place alive. I'll make sure of it. Mr. Reports. Bunch of just deliveries. More deliveries. Disposal of bodies. Keeping an eye on Doe. I've got a bad feeling this won't last. See, unidentified. My own people are stealing from me now. What did the scoundrel Murky promise them? I'm going to find out, and there will be trouble. Box recorded conversations. Jin, did you hear? They're going to bring in another batch of Xenotech. Life is going to be good. Idiot, we've still got the previous delivery to deal with. The clients don't wish to take risks after all. Well, after the accidents. Who cares? There are people with more money within common sense in every system. You know what matters? That's right. What matters is we're making mountains of thrones. I've got a bad feeling about this. Jin, turn that frown upside down. You'll start looking like our wrinkly supplier lad if you don't. Or share supplier lass. Whatever. We've read these, haven't we? Yeah, we've read these. This is the ones we picked up. Yeah, we picked up those. Enter a different command. Disconnect the power supply to the tracks. The whirring of the obsolete cogitator's mechanisms grow into strained whine, and the crackling from the abandoned tracks abruptly stops. Okay.
A space wolf
What does that
never
mean?
fails
not
in their
dawdle.
duty.
Missed some goods, apparently, somehow.
Centuries of service and practice.
Meteorite shard. Stolen with a touch, barely perceptible electric impulses ripple through the veins of metal, making it glow. Okay. What was that? Xenos weapons and jewelry, peculiar artifacts you've not noticed.
Always keep your eye on the price.
They do something new now?
Both strong and wise is Ulfa.
Keep your wits about you.
I don't know.
I always have a backup plan.
Okay, weird. Weird place. Nothing to do with this, like, chest anymore, right? Like, can't do anything cool with that. No, it doesn't appear like it.
I
Can't get through
always
this
keep
door
my options
still.
open.
No. Alright, well, I mean, it looks to me like we're done here. Just feels a little odd that we didn't find the guy who was yelling at us. Interesting. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna level these guys up. Alright, so let's go to what we picked. We picked up toughness and interception on Gregor. We picked up agility and uncanny sight on Yurlet. Pascal here, we picked up intelligence and assisted analysis. Argenta here, we picked up agility and fortress. We picked up willpower and commanding voice on Cassia. And for Ulfar, we picked up strength and muzzle velocity. I would have picked up ballistic skill, but it would not let us, so I did not. Let's get out of here, shall we? Right. I don't know if this one has something that we need to explore or not, so I'm going to dip over here and just check it out. Have we been here? We'll find out as soon as we land. I think we've definitely been here. Yeah, this is where we fought those turrets. That's right. Definitely. Super early on. Yep. Back to the void ship. Alright, I'll bring you guys back when something new happens. Alright, we have something not explored over here at Sato's tomb. Let's see what this is about. Draft caves. Someone tells me that wasn't updated properly. The gigantic asteroid surface is densely sown with craters and pits leading into deep caves. Augs indicate that the asteroid consists of layers characterized by strange heterogeneity. There is a high probability of finding valuable resources inside the stone. They can be extracted by sending an exploration team deep into the tangled tunnels. Send an exploration team equipped with drilling apparatus to the asteroid. With the help of a massive drill, the exploration team penetrates into the cavernous depths. The squad reports that the Auspex have detected meager reserves of substance used in the synthesis of plasteel on the rocks. The excavation team will take time. Plasteel is an important resource. An opportunity to acquire should not be disregarded. The equipment struggles with the unexpected hardiness of the rock, but after 3 watches, the squad managed to set up enough mobile extractiomes to gather the coveted material. The noise and vibrations caused by the instruments have disturbed strange currents inside the asteroid. A transparent, viscous substance streams down from the porous walls of the caverns, slowly filling the caves. The squad's Auspex raise the alarm. A prolonged stay in these tunnels will undoubtedly result in the toxic liquid destroying the gear and equipment. Despite this, the explorers suggest blocking the livelier streams in order to leave them with enough time to fill several canisters with strange substance. Later, the Magi alchemies will have no doubt be able to synthesize many useful chemicals from it. Not enough to out the substance. There's no need for haste. The explorers are to gather as much material as possible and transfer the find to the Magi. Yes. Long hours are spent carefully preparing for the collection of the material, mapping the caves of this part of the asteroid, carefully observing the flows of strange liquids. The squad succeeds in gathering several canisters of the substance while preventing any floods. While some soldiers carry the prize back to the surface, the rest continue moving toward the asteroid's heart. The explorers eventually reach the dry, surprisingly large caverns. A minute of respite is interrupted by a terrified scream. The squad is under attack. The tunnel's arches collapse into turning into nightmarish monsters resembling both worms and spiders. The beasts rush forward, yearning to tear apart the intruders who disturb their rest. Engage. The gigantic horrors attack relentlessly, their powerful mandibles turning soldiers' bodies into bloody paste, but nothing can withstand the purifying light of flamers. Intrigued by the encounter with new xenoforms, the explorers notice their tough carapaces conceal meat, both extraordinarily nutritious and surprisingly tasty. Without a doubt, future hunts for these creatures could feed a significant number of people. The endless caverns eventually lead the explorers to a very center of the asteroid, where they are met with a yawning cavity of unimaginable size. The giant rock turns out to be housing the curved, shapeless buildings of unknown xenorace. Fragile, built as if out of sand, an intriguing find awaits the squad in the long-dead city. Uncountable quantities of ugly totems made from crystal phlogiston are built into the walls of the most twisted buildings. Order the collection of the phlogiston. With each crystal effortlessly removed from the dilapidated sand walls, entire blocks of the city collapse. It does not take long for the cavity inside the asteroid to fill with a thick, dusty fog. Further recovery of the phlogiston from the crumbling ruins will take more time. Neat. Very neat. And also, this might be the one that we glitched out, because I swear we've gotten this before. Yeah, see? This just won't disappear for some reason. Alright, I'm going to keep exploring, and I'll bring you back when something happens. Alright, we're back over by Darkonus. We actually have a quest to go down to Darkonus, I do believe. We're Ablard, so do that. Ablard must come with. Yep, that's what I thought. Who's it making us get rid of? Ulfar? Yeah, I guess that's okay. I don't even know if I'm gonna level him up. Honestly, it's gonna take so long to level him up, and he doesn't matter in the fights. I feel bad, but like, I don't feel bad. Throne preserve us. What happened here? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand aside. No need to crowd around. Governor Driveston will take care of everything. This is ridiculous. Such a thing happening right here in the Rogue Trader's Palace. Oof. Hello. What's happened? You got some splaining to do. You're confronted by the sight of dead bodies at the entrance of the palace. The corpses have been hauled into a pile. Some are dressed in uniforms of palace wardens, while others are arrayed in clothing typical of the Darkonus nobility. Upon seeing you, the young enforcer stands at attention and swallows noisily. His voice trembles as he says, "Your lordship, we are honored by your presence." Point at the dead bodies. What is this mess? You see, your lordship, the people wanted to attack the warden clears his throat. Second Lieutenant of the Palace Guard, Ellen White, reporting. Shortly before you arrived, we averted an assassination attempt on the Rogue Trader. The palace soldiers detected intruders engaged in combat. Examine the assailants. Observation. These are rare, high-functioning servitor specimens present among the expired units. Such specimens are traditionally bestowed upon the noble houses that are most loyal to the sacred fellowship of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The augmetics of the deceased do differ from the implants ordinary people wear. Their intricate construction makes it clear that the deceased were not ordinary humans. Abelard frowns. As far as I know, House Gaprick has received such servitors from Crimson Priesthood as gifts in the past, although this is my first time seeing one myself. Where's my court chancellor, Clementia Werserian? I think she's with the rest of House Werserian, detained in the throne room. That is, Governor Drivestem has gathered all Darkonus' nobility there to pronounce a guilty verdict against House Werserian. Why is the governor not here to greet the Rogue Trader? I do not know, your lordship. Perhaps he is... The guard throws a fearful gaze at Abelard. You can find him in the throne room, where the governor intends to put House Werserian on trial. Let's take my leave.
My success was
There's a crumpled
inevitable.
up letter in the pocket of the jacket. The bodies bear multiple wounds. 7 of them died recently. The letter is soaked with blood. The only portion of the text is readable through the crimson blotches. Careful and discreet. Keep away from the lords and ladies. You must look like a noble to the servants and wardens. Do not engage in conversations with anyone. Your task is to avoid exposing yourself ahead of time and let the Werserians get away while the wardens are busy guarding the Rogue Trader. Oh, something's gonna happen. The Werserians aren't guilty, damn it.
Is there money to be made?
They're my people. Someone is framing them. Yeah, Prac aristocrat. Alright, out of my way. Let me through. I have an appointment with Chancellor Clementia Werserian. Yeah, get out of my way, see? Me too. My apologies, my lord, but you cannot go any farther. Governor Drivestem's orders. This is ridiculous. I shall complain. You are already complaining. Out of my way. Move over. Let his lordship the Rogue Trader through. I humbly beg your pardon, your lordship. Yes, you should. Your lordship, please, this way. Your lordship, 'tis an honor. Governor Urban Drivestem seems to materialize out of thin air, so suddenly does he emerge from the crowd. I regret that such unfortunate circumstances have occasioned the Rogue Trader's visit to the capital. Clementia tries to take a step forward to you, but the warden nearby stops her. Her face is veiled with fear and wariness. Your lordship, you're here. Please, you must hear us out. The Rogue Trader is undoubtedly here to listen to the testimony of each and every one of us, and to punish the traitors. The governor's words directed to Clementia are harsh. They are echoed by scornful sneers and whispers of the assembled nobles. We have known each other for many decades now, and we have had our fair share of disagreements. Do you really think my flesh and blood would trample upon the very definition of honor and loyalty? Abelard's voice is quivering with rage. The governor sweeps his gaze over Abelard, then replies, a faint shadow of doubt in his voice. We have evidence implicating them, Abelard. I'm sure that his lordship will have a fair ruling. What are the charges against House Werserian? Disruption of logistical lines, robbery of Adeptus Administratum officials, document forgery, and organization of heretical insurrections. On top of the evidently devastating economic impact this has had on your protectorate, these criminal acts have impeded the delivery of the imperial tithe, which in turn has drawn Administratum's attention. An esteemed member of the Adeptus Arbites is expected to arrive on Darkonus shortly, and before they do, we are obliged to identify and punish those responsible. Clementia, I wish to hear your account. Your lordship, House Werserian denies all charges laid against it. Clementia glances at the governor with defiance. These last few months have indeed been trying for Darkonus, but we have done our best to remedy the situation. My family's every effort was focused on stabilizing the capital's logistics and economy, so much so that we failed to notice the web of intrigue unfolding behind our backs. What's happened at Darkonus in my absence? When we caught wind of the rumors of your disappearance, we patiently awaited news of your return, but then Darkonus was struck by a series of terrible events. The first was the sabotage of logistics that hampered shipments, then mass unrest spread through the entire planet, and the minor noble houses began squabbling among themselves, trying to pin the blame on their rivals. We took great pains to calm them down and managed to quash the revolt, though not without some outside help, unfortunately. These events have been overshadowed by the, I am ashamed to say it out loud, in front of you, your lordship, the rumor circulating among the higher houses. The governor stammers and takes a deep breath. Some were calling it Theodore's true heir to be installed as the head of the house, Kunrad Voitvir. Not all of your subjects have forgotten his past efforts for the benefit of the trade protectorate. Drivestem stops talking, watching you with a tense expression. When the investigation was launched, the evidence led us to the Werserians. Why were there dead bodies at the entrance to my palace? Your lordship, I humbly beg your pardon. Drivestem bows once again, trying to placate you. You see, right before your arrival, the palace guard discovered the plot to assassinate you. Fortunately, the malefactors were disposed of before they could cause you any harm. Drivestem, you aren't accusing one of Darkonus' leading noble houses of treason without airtight evidence, are you? Of course I have evidence, your lordship. The investigation has established that members of the Werserian family, which is responsible for both Darkonus' fleet and its logistics, use their contacts and influence to forge a host of documents in order to undermine the planet's supply routes and economy, thus fomenting unrest among the inhabitants. Allow me to introduce my son, Cornelius. The governor points to a lanky young man standing beside him. He bows curtly but avoids meeting your eye. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum Palace, and it's thanks to him that we have managed to identify and trace the entire chain of forged documents. The investigation led us to the perpetrators, who admitted to acting on the orders of the House Werserian. It was they who had the intent of spreading the idea of restoring the title of rogue trader to the true heir. This man is shrouded in a mist of gray and blue. Sickly shadows of fear are floating around him. Cassie speaks so quietly that only you can hear her. Speak to the heads of the houses present. Do you support the governor's accusations? The aristocrats in attendance exchange glances, the noble lords averting their gazes, and the noble ladies hiding behind their fans. No one is willing to be the first to answer. Macarius Sourback. Over the many years of service, Governor Drivestem earned Theodore's trust, and he holds his high office for a reason. Sourback's tone is stern and imperious. On behalf of House Sourback, I support his accusations. Your lordship, Governor Drivestem has always faithfully served the rogue traders of House von Valancius and concerned himself with the future of your trade dynasty, and so House Gapric thinks his charges against House Werserian to be sound. The Augmetics hide Turinia's emotion, but her voice sounds slightly timorous. Humbly ask that you allow me to speak in defense of my family's honor. The evidence provided by the governor is utterly false. I cannot refute it, but I can say with confidence that no one from my family has ever tried to forge documents in the Adeptus Administratum, let alone undermine the economy of your capital. Your words alone are not enough to make me doubt the loyalty of House Werserian, as the rogue trader ordered you to release them from custody at once. Under different circumstances, I would not have dared disobey your word, your lordship, but I'm afraid that the situation demands that the guilty receive their due punishment. This sabotage of logistical change perpetrated on the capital world of your dynasty has naturally had an effect on the tithe collection. The most honorable representative of the Adeptus Arbites will be here before long to investigate the matter. Alas, their attention puts both you personally and the entire protectorate at risk. However, we still have a chance to alleviate the displeasure of resolving the incident ourselves and punishing the culprits. Sabotaging logistics, riots, conspiracy. The case appears to be flimsy. I wish to learn more before I make my final decision. As you wish, your lordship. The governor inclines his head in a stiff bow. Speak to me when you're ready to announce your verdict. Thank you for your willingness to help, Lord Captain. I'm certain that all the charges are false, and I'd be grateful in your help in exposing them as such. I think you should speak to everyone present, the noble lords and ladies. Okay. I'll do it. I'll speak to everyone present. Cornelius, let's save before we start talking to people. Governor Drivestem is surrounded by his retinue, who are all dressed in expensive gowns and finery. The matching color scheme of their outfits and the striking physical resemblance among them suggest they all come from one family. Your lordship, thank you for giving this case your undivided attention. The governor bows and the rest hasten to follow suit. Wish to hear your reason again. What makes you think the Werserians will plot against me? As soon as the logistical and economic problems gave rise to the initial rumors, we tried to find the person responsible for spreading the calls for Voidfear's return. The investigation showed that some of the documents inside the Adeptus Administratum were forgeries. We thank my son Cornelius for such astute observations. Your lordship, a slender man bows to you awkwardly and nervously licks his dry lips. I assure you that my humble person is undeserving of your attention. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum Palace, and it was he who discovered the errors leading to the disrupted logistics. It's also thanks to him that we found the perpetrators of the forgeries who admitted to acting on the orders of House Werserian. What do you make of this letter? I found it on one of the assailants. The governor Drivestem peers closely at the bloodstained paper. It looks like another piece of evidence incriminating House Werserian. Perhaps they truly did intend to kill you, or at least cause a stir to help them escape custody during the confusion that followed. All the assailants were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus. High-functioning servitors? Drivestem ponders this, rubbing his chin with his thumb. Such servitors are indeed rare, and the Gaprex do have them in their service. But this could be done intentionally with an eye to confusing you. Anyone with the desire and sufficient funds can hire them. Tell me more about your son, Drivestem. Thank you for your interest, your lordship, but I am not worthy of it. The governor's son bows and stands still as nervously stares down at the floor. Son, show due respect. Forgive him, your lordship. This is the first time he's had the honor of attracting the attention of the rogue trader. Tell me more about your job, Cornelius. What do you do? I manage the documents and records related to the economy of Darkonus. You probably know how scrupulous the workers of the Adeptus Administratum are. I'm afraid that a more detailed explanation of my duties would mirror the administrative process of the Administratum, too long and overly detailed. Cornelius tries to look at you in the eye, but it's clearly hard for him to do so. How did you manage to find the forged documents in the bureaucratic hell that is the Administratum? In compiling reports on the last cycle's supply chain, I noticed inaccuracies and discrepancies in the figures. With the help of some of the other clerks, I managed to find several other documents. Cornelius stammers and swallows noisily. Comprehensive data analysis has shown that the discrepancies were caused by intentional tampering with the data, thus leading to some logistical problems that were practically unsolvable. Father and I have managed to single out the Administratum clerks responsible for tampering with the data. Following a heated interrogation, they confessed they were following the orders of someone from House Werserian. Everything was supposed to look as though they were the ones suffering losses from the logistical and economic problems. But how does House Werserian have access to the Adeptus Administratum? There's no conceivable way they could do all this in a place where they do not hold any power. Before replying, the governor's son nervously adjusts his expensive rock coat. I think the right amount of money can open any door. Cornelius, what's your true reason for your nervousness? The young man's pupils suddenly dilate. He stands at attention and replies to you in one breath. This is the first time I've spoken face to face with the rogue trader. I'm afraid of saying something wrong or forgetting something important. The governor closely watches his son. His tone changes, now sounding strict and curt. Do you wish to tell the Lord Captain anything else? You're speaking to a rogue trader, and my patience is running out. You see a flash of terror in Cornelius' eyes as he stares at your hand on your weapon. He speaks quietly and confusedly without raising his head. Forgive me, your lordship. I can't do it anymore. The lie has gone too far, and I can no longer control it. The truth is that all the logistical problems were caused by a single error in the numbers. My mistake. What? Urban looks genuinely shocked and enraged. When I discovered my mistake, it was almost impossible to restore the supply lines. Then I was approached by someone who said they were a friend. They did not give me their name, and I never saw their face. They promised to fix the problem. All I had to do was pretend that the Werserians were responsible for the mistake, and for the rest of the evidence, they promised to arrange it all. And Cornelius is suffocating with fear, unable to speak. Urban curls his hands into a fist, the knuckles turning white. What have you done? How could you? Your lordship. He suddenly turns to you, trying to shield his son. This is my fault. I trusted my son, and I have failed you in doing so. I beg you to have mercy. Abelard shakes his head. And you called my family's honor into question, Urban. Nevertheless, I harbor no desire to kick a man when he is down. Lord Captain, the confession you obtained means that House Werserian can now be cleared of all charges. But we still do not know who is behind the forgeries, the riots, the plot, and the assassination attempt. Someone has committed their foul deeds and sowing chaos right under your subject's nose. To leave the stone unturned would be dangerous. What is the friend that approached you, Cornelius? How did the two of you communicate? By letter. I received a letter out of the blue one day. It was unsigned, but the person writing it already knew about my erroneous calculations. They offered to help me cover up my misdeed, and in return I would name the Werserians as the ones who sabotaged the supply lines. All I had to do was gather together some documents and reports that were listed in one of the letters. That, and keep my mouth shut. Urban, your son has found the courage to admit his mistake. I'll try to find some compassion in my heart for him. Thank you, your lordship. The governor bows low and then gives his son a look of bitterness and frustration. And as for your position, I think you will be reassigned to a role requiring less responsibility. I shall return to you later. I need to talk to some more people, of course. Servant.
Keep your wits about you.
I'm gonna find out who did this, damn it. Is it you, the Gaprix? We're gonna go over time again. It just is what it is. The lords and ladies, sumptuously dressed in the colors of House Gaprek, are standing in a half circle around Tarania and her son Vincent. The bodies and faces of almost every member of the dynasty are covered in large ornate augmetics. Turiana Gaprek curtsies to you. Her mechanical voice sounds distant and different. Greetings, your lordship. May the Omnissiah grant you understanding. With a click, her visor, oculars swivel to the seneschal. Abelard, it must be difficult for you to be here under these circumstances, with your house standing accused of such a grave crime. My family, Lady Tarania, is yet to be found guilty of anything. A verdict is for the rogue trader to reach. Do you think the accusations against the Werserian family are true? I would not take such responsibility upon myself and rule on their guilt, your lordship. I do not think Governor Drivesom's accusations are worthy of consideration, however. Or I do think. In your opinion, which nobles might have a reason to be parties of such a conspiracy? She thinks for several moments before replying. Pardon my bluntness, your lordship, but I will answer truthfully. It could be anyone. Greed, fear, and ideals can drive even the most loyal subjects to do the unthinkable. I've examined the bodies of the assailants that were killed today. All of them were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Isn't that so? It is impossible to read Turiana's emotions in her heavily augmented face, but suddenly her sudden turn towards her family betrays her confusion and surprise. Perplexed whispers bounce from one family to another. Impossible. We came here by ourselves without any servitors. We know nothing about it. Your lordship, thank you for informing us of this. You were absolutely right. My house indeed has been endowed with high-functioning servitors, a blessing by those who revere the Omnissiah, but today, none of our members were accompanied by them. I found this note on the body of one of the attackers. What are your thoughts on it? Triana's mechanical fingers gripped the paper. Officially, high-functioning servitors are employed by my house and my house alone. If such units were to attack the rogue traders, suspicion would instantly fall upon the Gaprix. I assumed that this is the Werserians intended to happen, but they did not expect the servitors would have this letter on them. Vincent, I wish to speak to you. Ready to serve, your lordship. How may I help you? What do you make of the charge against the Werserian family? Could they truly be guilty? I do not think I can doubt the validity of the accusations, but Vincent's voice trails off and he seems to retreat into himself for a moment. Before continuing, he takes a deep breath. I'm also not sure that House Werserian had a reason to betray you, your lordship. I do not know of any instance where their loyalty to you and the Emperor was anything less than unwavering. I know you care for Astar Shia Werserian. Are you prepared to watch her die? Vincent's jaw augmetic screeches slightly, and the young man scrutinizes his mother and other family members for a few moments. There's something you ought to know, your lordship. Today I noticed one of my family members to be in an uncharacteristic mood. Halen Gaprek is my paternal second cousin once removed, may the Emperor save his soul. Usually reserved and self-possessed, today he was frantic and anxious, fidgeting with a small piece of paper and seemingly looking for someone to no avail. When I last saw him, he was headed to the entrance hall where the altars are. Perhaps you should talk to him. That will do. Thank you, son. I should take my leave. Sourbags. Actually, I'm gonna go find him first. Said he was going to the entrance hall, eh? This is Werserians, yeah. So this is the entrance hall back here. There you are. What are you doing down here, bud? Finally, just man in the middle years is kneeling in front of the altar, his palms folded in a prayer close to his face. The implant-free parts of his skin are a sickly blue color. The nobleman does not react to your presence. He does not lift his head. He does not blink. He does not even breathe. Only when you draw closer do you realize he is dead. Uh-oh. Edward looks at the man. The colors of House Gaprek. I do not believe he decided to take his own life in such an extravagant way. As far as I know, there is a warden post here, but I don't see any warden. Seneschal looks around. There's no one to ask about what happened here, or with whom this man spoke before he died. I would like to ask Urban where the palace guard suddenly disappeared to. Examine the body. Ugh. Pascal's visor emits a series of clicks. He points to a dead man's neck without hesitation. I'm registering an injection site. To determine the cause of death. Only prayer to the Emperor is possible to determine the cause. Search the pockets. You discover a secret pocket in the lining of the man's luxurious coat. You find a folded piece of paper inside, hiding behind a handkerchief embroidered in the initials HG. Short note. Look around. You're almost certain that wardens are usually stationed nearby, but their post is empty. Where have they gone? This would be an excellent question. Step away. Make sure that the rogue trader is attacked by someone loyal. It should appear as if they were all staged to let the Werserian family escape. This is the last assignment. Soon your debt will be paid off in full.
I always have a backup plan.
Excuse me, sir. Where were the guards? can't tell me where the guards were? Okay, that's weird. You'd think that the thing
Always
saying,
keep your
hey, go
eye
talk
on
to
the
them and ask them where the
prize.
guards were would let me tell them where the guards were, but no. What about you? Can I tell you your cousin's dead? I've discovered a dead body, a member of your house right here in my palace. He died kneeling in prayer. Toriana covers her open mouth, her hand in surprise, and turning to her family looks for someone among them. Halen, it can't be. Halen, was it? Tell me about him, Toriana. Halen is one of the low-ranking members of House Gaprek. Despite his advanced age, he never held high office, but he was forever striving for a better position, even beyond his abilities. Members of my house struggled to cope with the misfortune that befell Kiava Gamma and our family. Some members could not reconcile themselves to our new position. Halen was one of them. What could have happened to him? Toriana's visor oculars are fixed on the floor, her fingers restlessly clenching the fabric of her dress. Toriana, the time to keep silent is long gone. The future of the Von Valancius trade dynasty and your house are both at stake now. We lost Kiava Gamma, a truly devastating blow to every member of the House Gaprek. I lost all hope for the future, and my kin lost their sense of purpose. We needed time to recover and chart a new course for ourselves. We were still are more than capable of doing that, but I will not deny it. The other houses have offered us assistance for their own self-serving ends. Perhaps Halen decided to take them up on one of their offers behind my back. The Seneschal bows ever so slightly and speaks quietly so that I can hear him. Lord Captain, the Gapreks, all of them, all or perhaps only some of them, are definitely involved, but I suspect that they were not behind the plot against you. Halen Gaprek could be nothing more than a puppet in the hands of a deft puppet master. We must expose whoever that is if we are to prevent the pestilence of heresy from spreading any farther. What do you suggest we do? Interrogate the heads of the Drystem and the Sourback houses. One of them has to be pulling the strings here. Once we uncover new evidence, announce that the guilty party will be publicly executed. Before you pronounce the verdict, I suggest focusing on each house in your indictment speech, and I shall observe them. I have known these people far longer than you have, and I know all their gestures and habits and their behavioral quirks. I'm sure that I'll be able to determine which of them was responsible for their riots based on their behavior. Just take my leave.
I always keep my options open.
Before bowing, Sourback scrutinizes you with a bitter, judgmental look. Your lordship. Hector Sourback, looking younger copy of his father, stands at a slight distance close to his mother. An expensive yet understated dress serves to highlight the dazzling beauty of Mercurius's wife, Regina Sourback. Sourback stares at Yolette with revulsion and flickers across his face. Do you believe the Werserians are guilty? Certainly. Sourback replies without hesitation. Governor Drivestem possesses proof of their guilt, and they have no means by which to refute it. Even if I were to entertain the idea that the Werserians were being framed, how much longer would their house have lasted anyway, if it is so ill-prepared for treachery? He addresses Abelard with a slightly mocking tone. My advice to House Werserian would not be to appeal to the Rogue Trader for help, but instead to simply stop, accept their fate, and not make matters worse for themselves. Cannot remember Gregor von Valancius seeking your advice on what House Werserian should do in this situation. Pay attention, Macarius. Focus on the Rogue Trader's questions. Who, apart from the Werserians, could have a motive to conspire against me? House Drivestem, wishing to expand their clout. House Gaprek, who lost their influence after the Kiava Gamma incident. Sourback looks back at his family, then turns again to you. House Sourback, whose patriarch is too direct in his communication with the Rogue Trader. Anyone could have a reason to conspire against you, and equally they could have none. It is not a question of motive, but of loyalty. Each of your subjects has sworn an oath of loyalty to you, so whose sincerity do you doubt? Look closely at Almas Macarius. Despite Sourback's attempts to suppress his revulsion, the presence of inhumans in your retinue undoubtedly reflects his fervent desire to eliminate the enemy's humanity. Do my companions distress you, Sourback? Sourback's face turns red, his furious gaze trained upon you. Free-flowing rage boils in every word he says. The Rogue Trader is the chosen servant of the Emperor and one of humanity's best. By surrounding yourself with the brave Xenos who scorn the very exceptionalism of humankind, you teeter on the brink of heresy, and no privilege granted by the Emperor can blind others to that fact. The thought of existing in the same sector as Xenos is revolting, but with the present in your retinue here in the capital city of the Von Valancius trade dynasty enrages me. To have Xenos sullying the streets of the planet after what we endured under the protection of the Rogue Trader, no less. Sourback takes a deep breath and exhales noisily. His rage subsides, but his burning gaze remains fixed on you. With a pained and distressed expression, Regina glances at her husband and her hands worrying the ruffles of her dress. Your veiled hatred for me is so obvious, Sourback, it's grounds enough to charge you with heresy. I'm hearing this from you, the Emperor's servant who flouts all that is sacred, the person who seems to think that the laws of the Imperium are meaningless. Macarius, now is the time you do well to stop and not make matters worse for yourself. The assailants sent to the palace were rare, high-functioning servitors. Do you think the Gapreks could be behind the attack? Sourback looks away briefly and replies to you with a curt laugh. I've always thought Toriana too weak to participate in such risky ventures, but it seems I was wrong about her. I discovered a dead body in my palace. A man of House Gaprek was killed while praying to the Emperor. He had this note on him. Do you know anything about it? Grace looks at the note, taking it from your hands, and replies without hesitation. No, I know nothing about this note. Interesting. Interesting that we could only talk to him. Can we talk to the other ones? Like... All right, House Werserian, you want to talk?
Is there money to be made?
You draw closer to the warden, step aside, bowing respectfully, allowing you to approach the Werserian family. Clementia, tired and slightly disheveled, is the first to bow her head to you in reverence. Several men and women fall behind her in suit. Your lordship, the woman stammers as if lost for words. Accept my most humble apologies for failing to greet you properly, and my thanks for agreeing to speak with me before making your final decision. The charges brought before the governor are severe, but I can assure you of this, and swear on my honor we are not guilty of the crimes that Werserian is being accused of. Clementia, a hint of sorrow creeps in Albert's voice, belaying a stern facade. You were acting as head of the family. You were supposed to take care of each and every family member, and now you're being accused of treason and collusion against the emperor, or against the rogue traitor, and this entire family is facing death. How could you let this happen? Are you truly guilty? Be honest. I will tolerate no lies. Clementia, if you know that a member of your family is guilty of the crimes you're being accused of. Abelard, it is your family too, you know. The woman's words burn with defiance. My apologies. I should not lose my composure. No member of House Werserian is involved with a conspiracy against his lordship. Honor and loyalty are something we do not take lightly, and we know whom we serve. The governor claims you forged documents in the administratum. The fleet is the primary remit of House Werserian. It is our responsibility. Logistics and supply routes are another area of our responsibility. We have no direct influence of inner workings on the Adeptus Administratum. The first large-scale deliveries were cancelled after quantities of food were miscalculated by the clerks of the Administratum. Then we were faced with incorrect weather data and a meager fuel budget. It was clear that the cause of all these problems was the calculations performed by the Administratum, in one way or another, but no matter how many times we asked, we could never obtain any clarification on the matter. I found this letter on the bodies of the heretics who planned the attacks. What can you tell me about it? While Clementia reads the letter, the Werserians behind her read it over her shoulder. Your lordship, let us be frank. It would be foolish of me to try and orchestrate something like this, knowing how many wardens are patrolling your palace. I would not have let myself or anyone in my family get involved in such a scheme. The attackers were high-functioning servitors, one that looked closer to ordinary humans. Do you know anything about them? Servitors, is that so? Clementia crosses her arms and furrows her brow in deep in thought. I encountered servitors that were indistinguishable from normal augmented humans, but only once. They were accompanying several members of House Gaprick. If you are not guilty, who is? Who stands from framing you? Anyone, really, Clementia replies with a bitter laugh. The other houses consider us unworthy of our position, and many would rather jump at the chance to get rid of us and gain control over what was once our domain, the planet's fleet and logistics at the very least. Lady Theodora chose to grant noble status to House Werserian, but the other houses, which have served in the Expanse for millennia, did not welcome the decision. It has led to some difficulties. I want to find out what's going on here and who the real mastermind is behind all this. Where should I start? I'm afraid I cannot be of much help. Talk to the representatives of the other house, eavesdrop on their retinue, and perhaps you will hear something unusual. I discovered the body of Halen Gaprick in this palace. He had this note on him. Do you know anything about it? The younger members of the Werserian family crowd around to examine the note in Clementia's hand. All present are beset with worry and bewilderment. I'm not sure if it is relevant, but perhaps you should know, since the fall of Calva Gamma, House Gaprick has been faring poorly, and to say the least, they have been looking for ways to enhance their influence and improve their lot, including asking for help from other noble houses. They have not approached us, of course. It is shameful to seek help from those you consider your inferiors, you understand, but perhaps Drive Stims or the Sourbacks can tell you more about this matter. Alright. Governor? Time to talk again. I would like to know why the wardens weren't there, but you won't tell me. How may I serve you? Ah, here we go. I found a dead body. A member of House Gaprick was slain in front of an altar. Do you know anything about it? A member of House Gaprick was killed in the palace? The governor's eyes bulged with surprise, and no one noticed, but how? There are wardens posted at every altar. There is no one near the deceased. The wardens had left their post. Did you order them to do so? Emperor, forbid, your lordship. The governor helplessly throws his hands up in the air as if to signify this powerlessness. Your negligence is stunning, Urban. An assassination attempt followed by a mysterious death, and yet here you are oblivious to everything. The rogue trader can justly accuse you of allowing a noble to be killed in the palace and failing even to notice it. Maybe so, but it is for the rogue trader to accuse me of negligence, not you. The governor addresses you once more. Your lordship, accept my deepest apologies for my imprudence. Nothing matters more to me than my honor. I shall send the servants to deal with all this immediately. Macarius Sourback today... Did you see Macarius Sourback today before I arrived? Curious. I did not see him myself, but perhaps. The governor turns around and asks family, has any of you seen him today? The nobles talk quietly among themselves, and then a middle-aged woman with a tall, extravagant hairstyle replies to you. I think my sister and I saw him sitting on a bench some distance away from the palace's entrance. We think he was accompanied by a gentleman, but forgive us, your lordship, we could not make out his face. Lead me to that place. Of course, consider it done. Very slowly. It's just over here.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust. This could be an opportunity.
Awareness 100%.
Too hard for a simple monkey?
I recognize the bouquet of how Cyberback usually serves. Why? It's an honor to assist you. Okay, can I talk to
I
Cyberback?
always have a
Who are
backup
you
plan.
talking to? Nope. What about you guys? Anything more from you? Nope.
Let us not dawdle.
Fine. I didn't want to talk to any more of you guys anyway. Summon everyone. I'm ready to pronounce my verdict. Governor Drivestone intensely bows and replies without hesitation. Understood, your lordship. Allow me to prepare everything. Many faces are watching you, each and every one awaiting the Rogue Trader's verdict with bated breath. The charges brought by Governor Drivestone were fabricated. House Werserian had nothing to do with the orchestration of the riots or the plot targeting the Rogue Trader. However, the real perpetrators are here in this very room. The Seneschal nods to you as if urging you to continue, then shifts his piercing gaze to the crowd before you. Urban Drivestone, you have exhibited inexcusable negligence by failing to question the possible involvement of any other family beside the Werserians. We have discovered the attempt on my life was orchestrated by a member of House Gaprick. The governor closes his eyes in fear and shame getting the better of him. Some faces in the crowd look confused and surprised, but you see more wearing expressions of self-satisfied contempt. Asteroid looks from the governor to you and suddenly shakes his head as to say, no, it's not Drivestone pulling the strings here. Urban Drivestone, you've accused House Werserian of no, I'm not going to go with Drivestone again. Turiana Gaprick, a member of your family, orchestrated an assassination attempt against me here in my own palace, and though he was already been found dead, the act is reason enough to forever brand your house as traitors. Mocking whispers creep through the crowd. Toriana is trembling faintly. She still does not raise her head, perhaps out of fear of meeting her fate face to face. The Seneschal's hard gaze softens. An elusive gesture is visible only to you to convey the message. Toriana Gaprick is guilty only of her poor judgment. I know that House Sourback offered their help to the Gapricks, and the late Helen Gaprick seemed to have accepted the offer. I suspect they are responsible for his death as well. Sourback furrows his brow and slightly cocks his head. He averts his gaze for the first time, as if trying to remember or make sense of something. You notice some restless movements behind him. Abelard narrows his eyes and scrutinizes Macarius Sourback and his retinue standing behind him. His sharp eyes light up when he catches sight of something important and hidden in the crowd. The Seneschal looks at you and nods as if to say the puppeteer has finally given himself away. Pronounce the verdict. In the conspiracy against the rogue trader, I find the air is frozen with a tense, almost electrified silence. All the nobles, some with fear and others with reverent anticipation, await your verdict. House Sourback guilty. Seneschal, you may take it from here. Abelard steps forward and stares intently at Sourback's patriarch. Well, curious. I must admit that I always admired your bluntness, but just as I once had to say goodbye to a promotion because of my dislike for intrigue, you and your family might soon say goodbye to your heads. Tell me now in your blunt fashion, are you loyal to House von Valancius? Sourback narrows his eyes, grimacing. I am loyal, Werserian. Abelard studies Sourback, then suddenly nods. You're not lying, but someone else is. Someone who is posed to destroy both you and your family for her own gain. Macarius does not have time to respond. Regina, who's standing beside him, raises her arm as if to slap the elderly Seneschal. Abelard deftly catches her wrist, stopping her hand right in front of him. Her dainty hand is adorned with a massive augmetic ring topped with a thin spike dripping with venom. Good catch, Abelard. She pulls out a knife? That's not at all what they said she had. Sourback shifts his confused gaze from his wife to Abelard, then back again. The stiff arrogance has vanished from his posture. Regina, you? Mother. Upon realizing what has happened, Hector recoils from his mother. Macarius, your bluntness makes you an open book. When I talked about helping the Gapricks, you had no idea what I was referring to. Your wife, on the other hand, her eyes started shifting like you would not believe. Regina Sourback, you alone betrayed the rogue trader, jeopardizing the prosperity of the von Valancius trade dynasty, and you alone are responsible for your unmasking. Regina, why would you do this? Like the spike on her ring, Regina's words are drupling with poison and rage. Because Darkonus is serving an impostor, the true heir of the Protectorate bears a different name. When Krunrod appeared on Darkonus, he paid me a visit and opened my eyes to the truth of the situation. Theodore was killed by the one whom she had unwarily taken under her wing. Macarius is too narrow-minded to even consider opposing the rogue trader, even an illegitimate one, so I had to wait till the right moment, and the disappearance of the Lord Captain could not have come at a better time. It was quite simple to trigger a chain of events on Darkonus so that the people remembered Master Voigtvir's past service. It seems that many of your subjects do not actually consider you a worthy successor. Why the Werserians? Because when stripped of the Seneschal's protection, this house is the weakest one of all of Darkonus, and they are particularly disliked by the governor's family. It would have been easy to bury the Werserians under the accusations of heresy. Who aided you? There's no way you managed to do all this on your own. Of course I didn't. I have too many helpers to list them all, but rest assured there are plenty of them, just as there are plenty of people who follow Master Voigtvir. My death will not change anything. The true rogue trader will come and take his rightful place when the time is right. Why did you kill Halen Gaprick? Galen was a good agent, but he was also a coward. He came to me just before our formidable rogue trader arrived. He was ready to confess everything. I suggested that he plead for the Emperor's forgiveness first, and he did grant him mercy, did he not? Abelard, the sentence is yet to be carried out. Finish this. Does the rogue trader condemn only the rotten apple or the entire barrel? I will not exterminate an entire noble line that is loyal to me just because of one traitor. In that case, Regina Sourback shall be subject to the intense interrogation followed by execution. Woohoo, the Werserians are saved. And episodes that I do 30 minutes of, to do 2 of them, have taken me over 2 hours. By the order of the rogue trader, Regina Sourback is sentenced to the death of heresy and crimes against the Von Valancius trade dynasty. Because of how long some of them are, like this one's 50 minutes by itself, and because of how I have to pause between finding new things right now while we jump around everywhere. That table is empty. She's on the ground, though. I see her hands. When the nobles disperse, sated by the bloody performance, Abelard approaches you, his steps firm. Lord Captain, you have my thanks. A rogue trader should not waste time on matters that his servants and trustees can resolve, but in this case your intervention was necessary, not just for the sake of my family, but for your trade dynasty as well. Regina Sourback, evidently Kunrad's accomplices, continue to plot against your protectorate. I fear that we have not heard the last of such scoundrels. Thanks to you, Lord Captain, House Werserian is saved, although it came close to being wiped out as a result of scheming without and impudence within. Abelard pauses for a moment, staring off into the distance. Sometimes I think about how much I could teach them. I could ensure that they survive in the future without me. What are you going to do now? I need time to reflect upon what happened and the role I played in it. I think I'll be ready to resume this conversation later when we are back aboard the ship. Abelard bows to you deferentially, turns away, lost in thought. Alright, guys. I think that is going to call it for this episode. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.